WHO mengoordinasikan respons internasional atas dugaan wabah hantavirus di kapal MV Hondius yang menewaskan 3 orang. Kapal tersebut kini tertahan di Tanjung Verde, sementara evakuasi medis kru menuju Belanda dipersiapkan. Meski virus ini umumnya menular lewat hewan pengerat, WHO memperingatkan bahwa transmisi antar manusia belum bisa dikesampingkan. Upaya investigasi terus dilakukan bersama otoritas lintas negara untuk mengantisipasi penyebaran lebih luas di tengah masyarakat global.
And the ship's operators to coordinate actions to ensure the safety and health of all people on board, while also limiting further spread. WHO has informed all of our member states through our channels, our international health regulation channels. We are supporting the medical evacuation of the 2 sick patients who are stable on board, and we're coordinating with the Dutch and Cabo Verde authorities and the ship's operators. What we know typically about hantaviruses, I just want to put this in context, typically the exposure and the infection comes from contact with rodents. We have seen with one of the viruses, the Andes virus, that there has been some limited human-to-human transmission. Now, I know that means different things to different people, but just to say that's really among very close contacts, which is what I'll come to your later question later, what we actually think has happened in the current context on the ship itself. The plan is, and our highest priority is to medically evacuate these 2 individuals to make sure that they have the care that they receive. So the plan, that is currently in the works, it's underway. The plan now is for the ship to continue on to the Canary Islands. We're working with Spanish authorities who will welcome the ship, have said that they will welcome the ship. To do a full investigation, a full epidemiologic investigation, full disinfection of the ship, and of course to assess the risk of the passengers that are actually on board. This was an expedition boat, and many of the people on board were doing bird watching. They were doing, a lot of things with wildlife. So our assumption is they were infected off the boat and then joined the cruise. The cruise did stop at many different islands up the coast of Africa, and again, seeing a lot of different wildlife. On those islands, there are birds. Some islands have a lot of rodents, others don't. So there could be some source of infection on the islands as well for some of the other suspect cases. However, we do believe that there may be some human-to-human transmission that's happening among the really close contacts, the husband and wife, people who've shared cabins, etc. So again, our assumption is that has happened, and that's why we are operating and working with the ship to make sure that anyone who is symptomatic, anyone caring for patients is wearing full personal protective equipment. The medical personnel who have boarded the boat have brought additional PPE as well. So that's our working assumption. There are thousands of cases of hantavirus that do occur each year from exposure to rodents, but there is one cluster in Argentina that happened a few years ago that we often refer to. It's uncommon. It's definitely uncommon. And again, when you have an enclosed settings, you have people that are spending a lot of time together, these types of things can happen. Right now, there aren't any specific treatments for hantavirus, but care is supportive. Typically, people will develop respiratory symptoms, so respiratory support is really important, particularly oxygen. Some require mechanical ventilation. So what we want, especially if patients are deteriorating, we want to make sure that they have appropriate level of care, they have intensive care, then they have respiratory support. What our working assumption is that it is the Andes virus. It could not be, but we're assuming that it is until we determined otherwise, because we do know that in the past there has been some limited human-to-human transmission with this virus. The point being, regardless of which virus it actually is, we do know that some of the cases have had very close contact with each other, and certainly human-to-human transmission can't be ruled out.
Jelajahi cara baru mendapatkan informasi. Download MetroTV Extend sekarang.